Hey folks, welcome to the channel. On this week's episode of Crimson Blaze Backpacking, I am family camping in Crested Butte, Colorado. Specifically, I am in a campground called Oh Be Joyful Campground, and it's located about 15-20 minutes north of Crested Butte, and it is spectacular. Well, we're going to spend 4 days, 3 nights here doing some hiking. We're here in the middle of July and there's a Wildflower Festival going on, and the wildflowers are in full bloom and they are amazing. So looking forward to hitting the trail and seeing some of those wildflowers. There's also a cool hike off of the Oh Be Joyful Campground, which is supposed to have some nice cascading falls, the river and creek. So that's going to be fun as well. And this campground is really awesome, especially compared to the one we had last year. So if you haven't seen that one, we were at Steamboat Springs, and I think it was called Meadows something campground. It was probably about 20 minutes outside of town, and that's where we had our first bear experience, where I stupidly left my grill out, and we woke up one morning to a bear tearing through our mesh little canopy that we put over our picnic table, and he was going after it. So that was quite an experience, and now I sleep with bear spray and a bear horn, just so I can be bear aware and bear ready for any encounters I may have at campgrounds. So here's the parking for campsites 7 through 10. There's a little trail here on the side that goes back 300 feet or so, and there are 4 campsites, and we're staying at one of those at campsite number 9. So according to the website, it's about a 300-foot walk, but and that's probably about right. But it didn't seem that bad. It's a nicely manicured trail, easy walking, carrying all your gear, but it is a bit of a walk back here. But some of these views, I mean, it's not bad. All right, campsite number 9, and I think this is a primo campsite. Plenty of space. You can see there's my lovely wife, Nancy and Sherpa. First time on the channel, my daughter, Natalie. So we like to bring hammocks, so we like to have a lot of space, and there are just some great trees here for hanging the hammocks, especially the one Nancy's in is right there on the creek. So for camping wise, what we have here is a 6-person tent, which only my wife and my daughter sleep in, as well with Sherpa. We also have a little bug net that we put over our picnic table. Gives us a little protection from rain, gives us a little shade, and keeps our stuff dry in case it rains. One thing I forgot to mention, all the campsites have these bear boxes where you can store your food, so you don't have to walk back and forth to your car to put up any of your scented items. There are bear boxes at every campsite. So this is where Nancy and Nally are staying. Let me show you where we're at. I've got something new, and I'm going to do a video on this, but it's kind of hard to tell right now. But this is a hammock tent. Let me skid around here. This is the Tinsel Stingray, and I've had this for maybe 8 years when I very first started backpacking, and it is basically a tent that hangs on a hammock, and it has 3 connection points, and it hangs by ratchet straps. I'll take the top off here in a minute so you can see the actual tent. Right now that's the rain cover. But that's where I'm sleeping at, and then Nate secured a nice little spot right here. So he has the Hennessy hammock. He's got my hammock gear, incubator, for an underquilt, and he is set up pretty good as he's got these amazing views by the creek and the water. All right, I wanted to show you the hammock tent, the tent steel Stingray, a little bit closer now that I've taken the rain fly off. So it does attach at 3 different points with ratchet straps on the trees, and then it has zippers where it opens up on both sides. I'm going to do a more in-depth review than this, but I just thought I'd give you an inside peek. So, new underquilt, but I have a pad, and because I have a pad, that's right, I have a sleeping bag. I know I love the Zen Bivy, but because I am such a great husband and father, my wife and my daughter have the 2 Zen Bivy systems that I have. But this is an X-Pid pad, which is really great. It's nice and warm. And then the sleeping bag that I've had forever. But it's not much room, but I've got my clothes and my backpack, and yeah, it works out just fine. I think it is a bit, probably a bit gimmicky, but I love it. And I don't know why I haven't used it a while on car camping trips, but I figured I'd pull it out for this one. So I really love this campsite. It may be one of my favorite campsites, you know, for car camping that I've ever had. I just love the space, how wide open it is. Love the shade that it has. We're right here on the creek where you can go just sit in chairs and relax in the water. And it is just wonderful. Wonderful campsite. All right, I think we're going to head out to the Snodgrass Trail. And is Snodgrass a type of grass? I don't know. Maybe it's named after somebody, but all I know is the research that I've done says that it has these amazing wildflowers. So we're going to go check that out. And it is an out and back. There's actually 2 different trailheads. There's the Washington Gulch, I think, is on like the west side. And then the Snodgrass, or I've even seen like Gothic Trailhead, is on the east side. And I think that's around 3.6 miles. But what we're going to do is we're going to park at the Snodgrass Trailhead and then go up maybe around a mile, and then you can loop it back to Teddy's Trail. And that's what I'm hearing has these amazing wildflowers. So really looking forward to that. And yeah, just getting out and exploring a little bit. See you on the trail. if you're just looking for wildflowers and you're just looking to do a nice, relaxing loop, I would stick to the Snodgrass Trailhead side. It is a steep climb. That first, 7/10 of a mile, or if you go further, it could be around a mile. But it's not too bad. And then it loops back down into Teddy's Trail, and that is just spectacular. The flowers, the mountains, you have the Mount Crested Butte right there, and it is beautiful. So if you're just doing a short trip, or a short hike, that's what I would recommend. Alrighty, so it's been a good day so far. We hiked Snodgrass this morning, and that was spectacular. It was absolutely beautiful with all the different wildflowers that were there. And like I said earlier, it's an out and back, so there's two trailheads, one on each end. And we started from the Snodgrass Trailhead, or I've also seen it called the Gothic Trailhead. We finished that up, went into a town, picked up a couple grocery items, came back to camp, had lunch, and now folks are just kind of resting. So Nancy and Natalie are taking a nap in the tent. I rested a little bit in the hammock. And my son Nate is out fishing with my Tenkara rod. So I figure I was getting a little restless. I wanted to check out the other side of Snodgrass Trail. So that's where I'm headed now. I am heading up to the Washington Gulch Trailhead, and I'm probably going to hike just a mile or so. I hear it seems like it's kind of a nice aspen forest there, and with a couple of open spots, so just want to check out the views, see if there's also wildflowers like they were on the Snodgrass Trail. And I'm not expecting it to beat it, because what I heard is part of that loop that we did was called Teddy's Trail, and that had the absolute best wildflowers that I've seen. And we really only hiked a couple miles, about a 2-mile loop, and that was fantastic. So I still got some hiking left in me, so while everybody is resting back at the camp, I figured let's go hit the Washington Gulch Trailhead and see what we can see. See you at the trail. So we have made it to the Washington Gulch Trailhead. It's a little bit of a dirt road there at the very end, the last mile or so. And apparently this is private property that you begin on. You can see those folks there. It's going to wrap around there and into the forest a little bit. So my first impression is that the other side, the Snodgrass Trailhead, or the Gothic Trailhead, is much more scenic. I mean, when you walk out of that trailhead, boom, there's wildflowers everywhere. I mean, this is pretty, don't get me wrong, but I'm not seeing the wildflowers yet. Like I did at the other one. And I thought, when I was researching, I was like, well, which one is best? If you're not going to do an out and back or have two cars, which is best? Should I start on one end or the other? And that's when I realized or read that the Snodgrass one is really the highlight of the trail. But I wanted to give this a try, and so we'll hike in a mile, maybe two, and just see how it pans out. 'Cause it is beautiful. It is a beautiful area out here, and so let's just go for a little hike. I will say that even though this side isn't as scenic yet, the crowds are a lot less. I think most of the mountain bikers are on the other side of, I think this is Snod Mountain, or Snodgrass Mountain. Alright, I might have spoken a bit too soon. I still think the other side, Snodgrass, is better. But I'm about 10 minutes into my walk now, and these beautiful blue, purple flowers, I don't know my flowers, are just popping everywhere. And it is stunning. It's like we're coming up on an aspen grove here. I love walking through aspen groves. I love walking through aspen forest because when the wind is blowing and the leaves start shimmering is the word I would use. It's almost, I don't know, it looks different than other leaves when they're being blown by the wind. And I've heard it's because they're really thin, and so as they're as the wind is blowing them, it kind of gives that almost paper thin type of look as you're hiking through the forest. But they are beautiful. You have a couple spots where it opens up and you get some mountain views. So no wildflowers. I mean, there's a few wildflowers. There's not none, but the aspen forest part is beautiful. This is definitely worth the hike. All right, I've been hiking for about 30 minutes now, so I probably have hiked a little more than a mile, probably a mile and a half. And I told Nancy I'd be back by 5. And I'm really seeing the same thing. So it is these beautiful aspens and a spectacular trail. And every now and then you get that peak open view. When you get an open view, you do have a view of some of the wildflowers. But right now I'm mainly just hiking in an aspen forest, which is great. Well, I think that's going to do it for the Snodgrass Trail from the Washington Gulch side. I'm going to head back to camp now, grill up some burgers and hot dogs for the family, get a fire going, and just enjoy the rest of this beautiful day that God has given us. And we will see you tomorrow. We will be hiking the Oh Be Joyful Trail that leads right out from our campground. And I hear that it has some spectacular views as well and some pretty cool waterfalls. So we will see you in the morning. On today's adventure, we are hiking the Oh Be Joyful Trail, which comes right out of our campsite. It's just going to be me, Nance, and Natalie. Nate had a little drama last night where he left his phone somewhere when he was fly fishing yesterday evening. And so he went back last night with a headlamp, couldn't find it. He thought he knew where he left it. And he went back this morning looking all through it and couldn't find it. Well, this family found it, and they actually texted my wife. He had his fishing license in the back, and it had her number on it. So they were able to text my wife, got the phone, all things are good, but he's wore out from, trying to find it this morning, probably hiked a few miles already. So it's just going to be me, Nance, and Natalie on the Oh Be Joyful Trail. We're just going to head probably maybe 2 miles out and then come back. I think it's like a 10-mile trail, so this can be an all-day thing. And we're just going to go check it out. I think there's supposed to be some nice cascading waterfalls. You're walking along a creek, I believe, for part of it, and hopefully some good mountain views. So let's go hit it. There's my son over there sunning himself as he is resting from his hard morning of looking for his phone. But yeah, our campsite is right on it's the Slate River, and the Oh Be Joyful is right on the other side. So we've seen hikers go back and forth the past couple days because it's the first probably quarter of a mile into the trail. All right, let's go see what else we can see. So when you come about, I don't know, maybe it's a half mile up, start coming up that dirt road in the beginning, you'll start seeing some spur trails on the left. Take those and that'll get you down here to this little side trail. This may not be the official Oh Be Joyful trail, but it is awesome and highly recommend, rather than just hiking up that look like a dirt road for that first half mile. This is a pretty well-defined trail that we're walking on, and it goes right beside the Oh Be Joyful Creek. I have shade, the beautiful creek, these awesome waterfalls. This is nice. And hopefully it's going to connect back up towards the end somewhere. We'll let you know. Just ran into another hiker, and he said there's guys who do extreme kayaking down the Oh Be Joyful Creek during May, and you should look it up on YouTube. But these are some pretty good drops. That's nuts. Well, it was probably about a mile, I would say, and then that spur trail connected back up with the Oh Be Joyful trail. I think we're going to turn around now. We've hiked in about 1.8 miles, and it came to this beautiful spot where you get down to the creek and nice little shade, great spot for a snack, and you see waterfalls that we've been seeing, the one on the left, come all the way down, and it is spectacular. So again, that's probably about 1.8 miles. And the elevation gain isn't too bad. I would say it's probably worse in the beginning. At least for us, we took that side trail, which was about a half mile, maybe quarter mile to half mile from the very beginning. And that elevation gain was pretty steady, but nothing really bad either. So now we're headed back to camp. Gonna have some lunch, and now I think we're gonna get some shots of Mount Crested Butte and some of the valley as we are walking back down. So we will see you on the trail. All right, so we're almost done with this trail, and I have passed the part where we, took the spur trail off, and that's what I would recommend. That is a good, that would be a good 2 mile loop if you want to do that. But as you're hiking a half a mile up, just take the spur trail off to the left, and then you're hiking down by the creek and the waterfalls, and that is spectacular. And then if you want to, you can come back down, and that would be a 2 mile hike, and then you get these beautiful views of Crested Butte with the wildflowers. Or if you're a little more ambitious, then you can go about another mile, not quite, to the spot where you can see the waterfalls come down. Especially there's the one big one coming all the way down. There's a great shade spot by the water. Like for us, Sherpa was able to get some water, something to drink. Great snack spot. I do hear that the best is even further up, maybe another mile or two, talking to some of the hikers. But we got a late start because of the innate phone thing. So we started off a little later in the day, and it's heating up. So we decided to cut it short at around, it's probably close to 4 miles, but not quite. But this is a beautiful trail, beautiful area, and highly recommend. We decided to take a cue from Sherpa and cross the water, but it seems a little bit cold. Shaved off about, I don't know, 2/10, half a mile. Here we are at camp. So we are now back at camp, cleaned up a little bit, some lunch, and now we're headed to the gift shops. And I think that's gonna do it for this video. That's our adventure. Thanks for watching.